But let's kick off Friday night in what was an interesting game to watch, a cracking first half. Anyway, Storm 26, Bunnies 18. Barney, you want to do your stats?
Second half was pretty good too if you're a Rabbit supporter. But yeah, 78% completion for the Storm, 63 for the Rabbits. 4 tries played, 3 out of 4 conversions for Melbourne, 3 out of 3 conversions for the Rabbits, and 2 penalty goals to Melbourne. 32 out of 41 sets, played 25 out of 40. Line breaks were 5-3. Tackle busts were 22 for Melbourne, 34 for the Rabbits. Offloads 4-10. A consistent theme over the weekend, actually. You'll see most of the teams that were behind a good wave through a lot more offloads towards the back end of the game, which sort of skews that stat a little bit. And another one, 0 forced dropouts and 0 40-20s. Ruck infringements were 4-3 for the towards the Storm. Tackles 305 for Melbourne, 338 for the Rabbits.
Was it 0 for both teams?
Yes. Yeah. 2 penalties conceded for the Storm, 3 for the Rabbits. 11 errors, played 16. Brandon Smith with 35 tackles, Murray with 49, Pappy with 175 metres, and Mitchell with 180 metres.
Ollie, your key takeaways from the game?
Oh, well, the first thing I want to say, and I know all the sooks out there won't want to admit it, but there is just about nothing better in terms of watching a game of football and watching the Storm or the Roosters or a side like that dominate the game. I loved watching the first 40 minutes of football and just see Melbourne do their thing pretty much unopposed from South Sydney. One takeaway for me, though, was Benji Marshall. When he came on the field, the game changed, and it just shows the influence he can still have on a side, but it also shows the influence he can have on a premiership contending side, which is really good to see. Yeah, when he came on, the game sort of changed towards the end of the first half, and then South Sydney were pretty solid in the second half. I don't think, a lot of people were saying that, no, Melbourne were crap, they dropped right off in the second half. I don't necessarily think they did that. Melbourne knew that they didn't really have to score any more points, and that's what Melbourne can do. They can control a game, they can just sit back a bit and maybe focus on other areas of their game. They did let in some tries, of course, in that second half, but yeah, they were well in control for that whole game. I was never concerned that Melbourne weren't winning that.
I want to go back to your Benji point. I agree. I think the game changed when he came on. I think he went to first receiver, essentially.
Yep.
He
took a bit of a back seat.
Put the pot plant back on the shelf, and I really liked the way they set up, where they essentially had Cody Walker playing, I guess, second fullback almost, and playing a wider receiver and sweeping one way and Lattrell on the other, and Benji was in control for probably 20 minutes
both
of that game.
Both sides of the field as well.
And just, he was outstanding. And amazing of it, just so, like, for Wayne Bennett, it must show the respect he has for him to actually didn't just bring him in to play a bench
or whatever it was, 50 minutes.
He put him on the field to do a job, and he did a job. And I'll be very surprised. There'll be games where he tears teams apart, or at least enables the 2 other stars to tear teams apart, and very clever. Any thoughts on Benji, Barn? Oh, and then give us your thoughts on the game itself.
Oh, well, just with the I failed to mention the Supercoach. I'll wrap that at the end of each stat. So I'm going to go with the top 3 scorers, and then if there isn't a player out of the opposition team, I'll chuck the top scorer out of that one. So we had Pappy with 124 points, Mitchell with 117, and Cody Walker with 82. Mate, the absolute slaughter in that first 20 minutes. Melbourne just absolutely belted them in attack and defence. There was an obvious plan, I thought, from Melbourne to stretch Souths from the start of the game. It was sort of 1-2 punch, and then go as wide as you could and try to stretch them on those edges. And they were found wanting there with the second rowers and the centres.
They had a brand new edge, and
they terrorised that left edge there at different points in that first 20 minutes.
And Wayne didn't mess around fixing it next week, did he?
No, he didn't. The first try I thought was a little bit soft, but it was good vision from Munster to pick when he went. Second try was outstanding. They were on their own 20-metre line and just went, they're short there, go, bang, fucking gone. Josh Adokar down sideline. Man, it was outstandanding. And then the third one with just really good straight line running and short passing from Pappy. Pappy was fucking outstanding, man. It was 2 tries, a try assist, 175 metres, line break, 2 line break assists. He was fucking everywhere again. He's looking like he's going to be a serious contender at the end of the season for quite a few awards. But South's got the momentum back in that last 10 or 15 minutes. I think that sort of jerried. I think that was about when Benji was interjected into the game too, to be honest. But And then in the second half, Melbourne tried to grind it out, but they were doing it on the back of poor field position, so they sort of got a bit stuck there, and I think that sort of let Souths back in at different points.
Yeah.
Or I think they would have kicked if old man Smith was there, they might have kicked a little bit earlier. They might have done it a little bit different and might have had a bit better field position, and Souths might not have come back as far as they did, but. That was
the only thing missing from the game was that Smith early pin, and that was just the one little puzzle piece that they don't have right now.
Yeah.
And whether
they
it's
probably
up
went
to,
that little bit too defensive, a little bit too early. Just tried to grind it out probably a little bit too early. But Mitchell was their best in attack. On the sweep outside of Benji. Benji orchestrated it, and Mitchell sort of did the execution.
I thought Lattrell was absolutely outstanding, and there's going to be teams, including the one they're playing in about 4 days' time, that he's going to tear to bits. I was in love. I've knocked him in years gone by, but I thought he's now ready to be a serious player. I thought he was close to South's best.
He's probably better if he goes himself, but he can still tip it on to the next bloke outside.
But then he's got there's stuff he does. He put over Mansell. Is it Mansell? AJ, sorry, other side. A great ball, just great ball.
AJ's be a decent pickup in Supercoach too. I think he's going to be on the end of a lot of slick moves out the left-hand side.
Couple of other, just jump in when I'm just going to go through a couple of my notes. Jump in when I thought Cheese was pretty good. He wasn't. He had very clean service. Was quick out of dummy half when we had to. Nothing over the top in terms of being but I guess he looked like an international hooker without being Cameron Smith.
His running game was good without tearing him apart.
And I think he led the tackle count.
He did.
Christian Welsh was tremendous first half. I think he is close to their forwards. Just bashed them for the first half. They were just super impressive. Jairo was part of the momentum shift back to Souths when he came on.
Yeah, he added a big straight when he came.
176 metres, 29 tackles. I thought he was just outstanding on return, and it's a matter of time till he's starting. I see they've changed their back row this week.
At least an hour, probably 80 minutes at some point.
They did look small at times. Like the Melbourne pack did bash them. And they've changed up for this week, but. If Tom goes down like he looked like he might have, there is concerns through that middle, but there are teams Souths will beat by a lot. The first 20 minutes, I thought Cody Walker... I talk all the time about Penrith earning the right to score points later in the game, and Souths didn't do that. Cody Walker, just for the first 20 minutes, thought he had to score every time he touched the ball. Like he ran every time, and he just looked like he just was trying too hard.
Well, you bring up Walker for Souths. I honestly think both halves were relatively poor. I think Lattrell probably had a bit of a quiet first half, but then when Benji came on, they linked up straight away, and for the rest of the game, Lattrell was great, as you guys said. But yeah, I just thought Reynolds was quiet. It was sort of the Adam Reynolds we were seeing during the first half of last season, and with Cody Walker, it was, as you said, trying too much. And as I've said before, Cody Walker's a confidence player. I wouldn't be surprised if he is a bit quiet for the first few weeks of the season now that he has had that poor performance and couldn't get the job done against Melbourne. Hopefully not. Hopefully he's gotten over that by now. But, I wasn't too impressed with either of South's halves.
Yeah, someone like Reynolds or Benji, as Daggy said, needs to start going, okay, no, you're not touching it this set. We're going to turn it back inside, grind.
Or just kick for a repeat set, like for maybe no repeat sets. Like Reynolds' job should be earning 18 tackles for Walker to put the icing on the cake.
South's biggest problem is the same as what they did pretty much last year. They lost a few games just through ball control. They dropped the ball.
And I want to make
really
very clear,
South,
in my opinion, South should have won that game. They had momentum.
If they'd started better.
But by the back end, had momentum, and execution cost them even when they were on top.
Critical times, they dropped the ball too.
I thought they had all momentum. I thought they had their sights on them. If a little bit of patience would have gone a long way in that game, and it would have been a lot closer, in my opinion. Last one, I guess we'll finish on here. Damien Cook, where's he at, Barney?
He's just seems to be going through the motions majority of the time these days. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think Arrow, if they do get him in the middle with Murray, it might help because he's got a pretty quick play the ball on him as well. But they just don't seem to get quick enough play the ball for him to do much out of the dummy half. And he seems obviously, but you've got a third half in there now too, so they want the ball, so
that's true. Yeah.
It takes a little bit off him, but
Yeah, honestly, I thought he was fine. Personally, I think he was better than Walker and Reynolds in terms of his positive input into the game. But yeah, not by much. And I feel like this isn't something that's going to stick with Damien Cook. He's usually pretty consistent. Even when South Sydney are down, he's usually one of their better players. Even towards the end of 2019, when they lost a bunch of games in a row and they just scraped into the top four, it was pretty much him and Cameron Murray who led the charge and kept their heads above the water. So I feel like he can come back based off of history.
Any final thoughts from this game, boys?
No, I don't mind the changes coming up, but we'll talk about that in this round. So.